Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. So, this episode, I'm going to be talking about Washington, D.C., and these blue drops that the media keep dropping to lie and keep the National Guard in D.C. Basically, DC should now be known as the FDC, the Fascistic District of Columbia, because it shouldn't be under military occupation. This is made up, whole cloth. There is nothing that's going to happen ever in DC. Well, I won't say ever, but there's definitely nothing that's going to happen. There's nothing planned. It's just a conspiracy theory to take away freedoms and rights from we, the people. Eric Greitens reports Ray Blunt says he wants military police at the U.S. Capitol for the foreseeable future. This is wrong. This is Joe Biden's America, and Roy Blunt shouldn't be supporting it. So, Roy Blunt basically said after 9/11, the National Guard supplemented the Capitol Police in D.C. for 2 years. But guess what? This wasn't 9/11. The only people who died were the Trump supporters who were there. Officer Sicknick didn't die from the protesters, as far as we can tell now. And all the people who happened to have died were Trump supporters. So, why is the National Guard needed there? Are you saying the Capitol Police is incompetent? If that's the case, then we need to slash their budget. We need to disband the Capitol Police and only have National Guard protection in Washington, D.C. If that is not the case, then Capitol Police need to start doing their job. And we also need to find out why they didn't do their job to protect the Capitol on January the 6th. But let's watch this quick clip from Fox News.
Candace, also tonight I just saw this on Twitter that Republican Roy Blunt has said that he hopes that military police bolster the Capitol Police for the foreseeable future in the Capitol grounds. These are so-called establishment Republicans. Now they're pushing for more military presence. I don't even think that's constitutionally allowed, by the way, but nevertheless, Republican?
I know, and that it's so insulting. And like I said, this does not look like we live in a free nation, and this does not look like, this looks to me more like what you would expect to see in Venezuela under Nicolas Maduro. This is the kind of protection that Nicolas Maduro has. Yes, who is also, by the way, Laura, the most loved and popular president of all time in Venezuela. And he's got the most popular president ever, the most voted for president ever is Nicolas Maduro. And it doesn't look like it's our country anymore. And as I said, when they started saying that this was only going to be temporary, I laughed. I tweeted early, if you guys think that these are being erected because of January 6th Capitol riots where only Trump supporters died, but Democrats are terrified, right? Then you're out of your mind. It's like saying, 2 weeks to slow the spread. Yeah, that's exactly what these all of these fences that are being erected around DC are. This is it's going to be permanent. They will keep kicking it down. They will keep saying, you know what? Now we have to have it because of this threat, and they are always going to be scant on details because what they want is DC under military lockdown. And that's exactly what they're getting under Joe Biden, our most popular president ever.
And Candace Owens nailed it. And I'll show you why here in a second. But before I get to the next article, how about you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please go to nonsenseudf.com, have a look around. And if you'd like to contribute to the show, there's a donate page, there's links available. Every little bit helps as we're independent and we'd like to keep it that way. So let's jump over to let's talk about March 4th. Alex Kaplan is a reporter, and basically he was covering all the QAnon conspiracy theories, and basically he discovered that everybody in QAnon basically said, hey, is this a thing? And then everybody who knew what was going on was basically saying, no, this is a false flag operation. You need to stay away from this. Don't even be within 10 miles of any of these protests unless you actually work there, because this is a false flag operation. They're just trying to turn us into criminals. Let's check out this Twitter thread. This dates back to February 10th. This isn't even like March 3rd or March 1st. This was, as soon as they were talking about March to 4th, they were already talking about this. The QAnon people were on this, and Alex Kaplan was on this as well. But of course, the mainstream media hasn't covered it. A QAnon influencer yesterday denounced the March 4th conspiracy theory, which has taken hold among much of the QAnon community since Biden's inauguration, calling it planned disinfo and nonsense theories. So again, this was February 10th. Can't help but get the feeling that these March 4th true inauguration stories are planned disinfo being peddled by the blue anons. I'm going to say every time they say injected, I'm going to say blue anons to dupe people into spreading probably nonsense theories that make the whole movement look dumb. Then February 18th, he talks about the thousands of National Guard troops now staying in Washington, D.C. through mid-March, in part due to the QAnon March 4th conspiracy theory. And then February 23rd, more QAnon influencers in the past couple of days have expressed doubt on the March 4th conspiracy theory. Other people are predicting all kinds of happenings for March and April. I'm predicting the spring, playing this safe. Basically, they're saying I'm not doing anything. So it's a admin for one of the QAnon groups. So this group has been taken private. Why? Mostly because I'm tired of the endless crap fest I'm seeing on display here of late. Lots of low quality posts, spam, junk, copium, hopium threads. Yes, the situation we're in is that bleak. No, it does not mean that Biden is working from an Amazon studio set. No, it does not mean Trump will be inaugurated on March 4th. I'm sorry if that's hard for some of you to hear, but it's a reality. I also think people need to be reminded how much this community actually matters and how membership is a privilege, not a right, and moreover, how much work I myself and the admins put into it. And then he keeps talking about QAnon stuff afterwards, but like you said, Trump will not be re-inaugurated on March 4th. I'm sorry that's hard for some of you to hear. So this is an admin of one of the large QAnon groups basically saying, hey, this isn't a thing. And then February 24th, more QAnon influencers have come out against March 4th conspiracy theory, with these influencers suggesting it's some kind of setup against QAnon supporters. Wow, a Democrat congresswoman just referred to anti-Semitic QAnon conspiracy theorists being among the violent insurrectionists on January 6th, listening to the DHS hearing on Jan 6 events. I wonder if she's the shill that's been posting anti-Semitic stuff on 8chan all this time. Gotta manage the setup, right? Wouldn't surprise me. Holy. She just said QAnon is planning another event on March 4th. They are planning another violent protest specifically to paint all who support QAnon as domestic terrorists. Explains why so many have been pushing that date. Jump into the next one. Caution, all the irresponsible talk about March 4th is very likely another setup to target members of Q community as extremists. Spread the word and do not go to any big events that day. It's bananas. They knew this was fake, yet the mainstream media and the Democrat establishment kept pushing this conspiracy theory so they can tighten their hold on Washington, D.C., so they can label a part of their political opposition as a domestic terrorist threat. February 25th, more QAnon influencers have come out claiming that March 4th conspiracy theory is a false flag, at least one of whom had seemed sympathetic to the conspiracy theory previously. And this person's replying to a U.S. Marshal's tweet. You realize this is a trap, don't you? Mainstream media false flag setup. Anything anyone hyping March 4th is suspect. The mainstream media is pushing another false flag on March 4th, does not condone, or basically they're saying QAnon does not condone violence, never have, never will. If there are groups out there planning and advertising events on or around March 4th, anywhere in the country of DC included, we strongly urge anyone to avoid them entirely. Why would the DS do this? How do you push domestic terrorism legislation? You need an event. This is a trap by the Department of State. Alex Kaplan, moderators of one of the biggest QAnon forums, have now pinned, meaning promoting it at the top of the forum, a post claiming that the March 4th conspiracy theory is a false flag. Which date is this? February 26th. A serious warning from Anon. Stay away from any event being held on March 4th. Stay away from Washington, D.C. March 4th unless you work within that 10-mile parcel of foreign-owned territory. Stay away from your own state capital and government buildings March 4th unless you work in a government building. Something is potentially cooking and we don't want to be part of it. Any of it. See something, say something, but don't go out looking for trouble. January 6th insurrection accusation, lies have fallen on its face, so they need their new boogeyman. March 3rd, two QAnon influencers were previously sympathetic to the March 4th conspiracy theory, have now totally reversed and are now solidly on the claim that it's some sort of false flag. So let me get this straight. They want to take them down 2 days before they think something will happen on the 4th. False flag coming, because they're talking about taking down the fences 2 days before. March 4th is a trap. Q new. Is it a trap for them, or is it a trap for us? It's bananas, people. It's bananas on so many levels, because Newsweek is reporting QAnon theories switch date to March 20th after no Trump inauguration. Call the 4th a false flag. No, they called the 4th a false flag because it was a false flag. Because guess what? If you're going, it's so irresponsible what the media is doing. The only reason why I personally ever knew anything about QAnon, and I don't believe in any of that nonsense, but the only reason why I ever found out about QAnon was because of the mainstream media, the likes of CNN, MSNBC. They kept talking about QAnon. If it's a dangerous conspiracy theory, why are you making it mainstream and then you're getting upset when people go, "Oh, well, some of that seemed plausible. Let's see." And then they go down that rabbit hole and then they start believing in some of the QAnon stuff, because guess what? There are things that go, maybe there is a Democrat-led cabal of child sex traffickers, because I'm old enough to remember when you see Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and all these people hovering around Epstein's island. So maybe there is some truth to it. So if he's right about that, what else is Q right about, right? So why is CNN pushing these conspiracy theories? It is irresponsible. It is so irresponsible. So going to the end of the article, March 4th is a trap. Q knew. The other said in a different post, is it a trap for them or is it a trap for us? I already read that. Earlier, the same influencers claim anyone hyping March 4th as a suspect and called the March 4th conspiracy theory a mainstream media false flag setup. Some QAnon supporters seem to rebrand the March 4th conspiracy theory in the wake of community suspicion, while two individuals affiliated with the false theories simply suggested that Trump's inauguration would take place sometime in the spring. One man, identified as Ken, oh, that seems like a real solid source, folks. Ken told Washington Post reporter Dave Weigel that the former president will be inaugurated again on March 20th. In comments over the weekend, Ken also believes that Trump is still in command of the military and Biden is acting as president as a ruse while the Pope and others are rounded up, according to Weigel. The upcoming date will mark the 167th anniversary of the Republican Party's founding. Former members of the Whig Party are said to have technically established a GOP during a meeting in Ripon, Wisconsin on March 20th, 1854. So more blue drops, friends. So we're going to say this obscure date 167 years ago is going to be the date that Donald Trump becomes president of the United States again, guys. So we need to keep the National Guard there because there's going to be a riot at the Capitol. Well, why would there be a riot at the Capitol if Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated as president? Wouldn't that be a peaceful event? Wouldn't people be cheering in the streets if that were the case? Why would they be breaking into the Capitol? Unless CNN is going to start directly funding more domestic terrorists to break into the Capitol, because they've already done it once. Are they going to do it again? This is what's crazy. You have the mainstream media pushing these conspiracy theories, basically turning neighbors against one another, and there is no punishment for these mainstream news organizations who are peddling these blue anon conspiracy theories. These little blue drops are going to get somebody killed one day. You're going to have somebody go, I killed him because he was QAnon. I had no idea. I thought he was a domestic terrorist. The mainstream media, the government, the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all said these QAnon folks were domestic terrorists. I killed a terrorist. I did nothing wrong. That's what's gonna happen. And it's because of these blue anon conspiracy theories. Let's get back into the real world and let's drive forward. Let's base our reality in facts and go, hey, Joe Biden is our senile, empty cyborg of a president whose programming is going awry. That's me joking, of course. I don't believe Joe Biden is a cyborg, but it would be hilarious because, when your laptop is like on its last leg because the hard drive is just basically just poop in the bed and it's all just like right? Every time you try to do something because it's just not working, that's basically Joe Biden right now. So you have a broken cyborg with broken programming as the president of the United States. And guess what? Let's just all sit back and have a laugh at basically just have a schadenfreude moment and basically just wait until Kamala Harris becomes president of the United States. We'll roll our eyes because guess what? People are going to make a big deal about Kamala Harris being the first female president. But guess what? She had to ride the coattails of a sexist, serial sexual harasser, racist, segregationist, right? And these were all Kamala Harris's words. She had to write the coattails of a racist segregationist, or excuse me, a pro-segregationist, serial sexual harasser to become the president. So guess what? She still needed a man to become the president. At the end of the day, that's how unpopular she was and still is. But with that being said, Biden's approval tops 60% in new poll. If Biden's approval tops 60%, they wouldn't need the National Guard surrounding Washington, D.C. for months on end. They're talking about into the fall. This is crazy. If Joe Biden was so popular, why do you need National Guard troops? Why do you need more troops basically occupying Washington, D.C. than you have in the Middle East? That's my question. 60%? 60% approval rating? No, because even Democrats are angry with Joe Biden. Democrats are angry that he's not pushing the $15 minimum wage. He reneged on the $2,000 checks. He basically is screwing the pooch on the border. He basically is allowing for the Uyghur genocide that's currently happening in China. Basically, he gave permission for it. He said, well, I can't say anything bad about it because who am I to say there's cultural differences between our two countries? How does he have a 60% rating? How is he polling at 60%? It doesn't make sense. The math doesn't add up. When I look around, I talk to Democrats and they go, I'm not happy with what Joe Biden's doing because he's not doing a good job. So that's going to be it for now, folks. I might post another video later today if the world catches on fire. But if it doesn't, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.